Yeah, what's good, y'all? It's your man, the Bigga P, and I just want to share my thoughts on yesterday's PBC card on ESPN. Um, First, I guess I'll talk about the swing belt. The swing belt wasn't really anything overly spectacular. It was Luna versus Lopez. Lopez, I believe, was a replacement opponent or opponent that was called on short notice. And Luna was the prospect. First three rounds, pretty much it wasn't. I mean, it was Luna trying to press as much as he can, but Lopez was kind of making it a little bit difficult, because he's the veteran. It was not making things difficult offensively, but it was just a little bit awkward until the fourth round where Luna just like, you know what, he said he just pretty much threw caution to the wind, got him on the ropes, and pretty much blasted him with right hands, yeah, lefts and rights until the referee had to stop the fight. So I mean, like I said, it was very nondescript, but it had quite the explosive ending. I mean, literally came out of the corner, and within a couple seconds was just let his hands go, like it was no problem. Hey, I mean, like I said, those are the fights that you need sometimes to make sure you keep the viewers, keep the viewers watching. And that fight was sandwiched between the opener and then the main event. The opener was Ceja versus Ruiz. Going to this fight, I thought this fight would be in a sleep. I've seen Ceja before fight, and I thought it would be. And I had a feeling it would be a sleeper because both of them had power. Both of them are known for, both of them had a lot of power. Both of them had pretty impressive KO records and records overall. The first two rounds weren't as exciting as it was. It was a lot of feeling out going on in the first two rounds, but in the third round, though, Ruiz corrected on Ceja, and Ceja hit the canvas for the first time. And he was in trouble. I mean, it was like a check hook. I think he landed. I mean, it was thrown so swift. I mean, I couldn't even catch the punch of the first. I couldn't even catch what type of punch it was the first time around. But unfortunately, what Ruiz could not do or didn't do well is try to finish him, and he had him. He was throwing some unbelievably wide punches. And Ceja, even though his brains was a little scrambled at the time, he was ducking under them, holding on, like he had his wits about him to avoid getting his head blocked, his head knocked off. And of course, in a couple of rounds later, Ceja returned the favor by dropping him with an absolutely huge left hook. And Ceja knew how to finish him. I mean, he got him on the ropes. He started blasting him, lefts and rights, straight punches, nothing wide like what Ruiz was doing earlier. And then after that, the referee saw Ruiz start to sink, and called it off. Um, like I said, it was a slow fight, but in the end, though, like I said, this is a perfect example of like knowing how to actually finish your opponent once he's actually hurt. And Ceja managed to do this. So my hats off to him. It was a great opener to watch. And now what Ceja is actually going to do, because I know from what I read a couple places that he was hoping that LSC goes down to 122. I don't see that happening, only because now I think featherweight is a little bit more lucrative, so to speak. And if LC was going to go down to 122, probably wouldn't be against him. Um, so, but nothing to take away from that fight. Ruiz, it was a tough break. The only thing you can take from this is that is to throw straighter punches next time. Don't throw them so wide that even someone who's not even in the right way can actually duck and can duck right under them, or get out of the way in time. So. Yeah, so the main event, of course, was Abner Mares versus Leo Santa Cruz. I've been critical about LSC for a couple of years now. When he was coming up, I mean, I thought he was absolutely talented. I mean, I have an affinity for volume punching that's done well. And I thought LSC at the time, watching him come up, I think it was from 118. I thought he was going to be a problem. And he was, because that activity is, I mean, there were times where he was really punishing fighters with his activity. And then in the last couple of years, he has not been impressing me. And mostly it's because of the fighters he had been facing. literally his sparring partners and facing for big money. Um, I can't understand that type of mentality. It's not the type of mentality I like fighters, young developing fighters to have. To go from possibly, and this was more apparent when he moved up to 122 because I wanted him to, okay, you have talent, like test somebody with that, fight Frampton, fight Rigo, fight somebody of note in that division, not your sparring partners or someone you're dragging up from a lighter weight. Um, yeah, and I started souring on him. Um, and something that I thought I saw because he was on the Pacquiao Mayweather undercard, and I was also not impressed by someone who was not only smaller than he was, but was actually making him look bad boxing wise. So I'm like, okay, yeah, this guy needs to either up his competition or he's gonna suffer a shot up. He's gonna get upset by somebody. So here we are with this fight. Now Mars is someone I don't like. Um, I mean, at first I was indifferent towards him, and then I didn't like him because of the whole thing with Rebecca in the first fight, and I wanted someone to to pretty much knock him out. But Mares, did prove his mettle after that fight. I mean, as a guy who actually does have, he's legitimately talented, and he was defeating he defeated a good list of fighters. I mean, he was probably knocking on a top 10 rating, overall, before getting KO'd by Johnny Gonzalez of all fighters. Didn't see that one coming, even though Mars used to be Johnny's sparring partner. Since then, I think he had like 3 fights, and I know there was one fight. This was the fight that he was under with Hunter that I thought it was just absolutely god awful, because he was trying basically because when you go with Hunter, Hunter has a specific style of fighting. Of course, he's known for working with Andre Ward, which works for him, but for someone Mars who didn't really need a style tweak of that nature, he looked terrible. And I think that was the only fight he fought under Hunter. And then after that, he looked normal. He looked more normal than usual. So, I mean, you'll never hear me knock his competition because he's fought and defeated a whole bunch of good fighters. But, now it's 126. You're trying to figure out, what does he actually have in this division? Does he still have anything left? So here we are. I mean, I know this was one of the more anticipated fights because you have one Mexican who's all action, and then you have another Mexican who's willing to get in the trenches to do what he needs to do. And for the first 4 rounds, it was pretty much, the fists were flying. I guess Morris' plan was to see if he can actually take Santa Cruz out early. He really wanted to test his chin. Which is not a bad idea, so to speak. But Mars is not a volume puncher. Volume punchers they throw punches in bunches. They have incredible stamina. So pretty much after the 4th round, I saw Mars start taking deep breaths. I'm like, that's pretty much where the fight changed. That's pretty much where I guess the fight changed. LSE, he adjusted, and is basically started, punish the guy. I mean, the only thing that probably kept Morris on his feet was the fact that he was clinching a lot. That's probably a byproduct of the Hunter training because that wasn't. That wasn't his. He was clinching a lot. I mean, it was enough to. It wasn't enough that it was aggravating because he had to do it obviously to stop his assault. But it was enough to know that if was actually wanted to really trade, LC would have probably knocked him out. But outside of a head clash, because I know a head clash opened up a cut over Mars, I think on forehead. Mars pretty much was. The face you can see his face by the end of the fight. He got rearranged. Now I wish that in this case that Mars actually had like a plan B or something. It's not like LSC cannot be outboxed. He can. The jobber that he faced on Pac Mayweather was pretty much beating. It was countering him and beating him off lateral movement. It was. That was the fight that was actually quite spectacular to watch and alarming that LSC had gotten that to that type of level where he's getting outboxed in a basic sense. But Mares, like I said, Mares just didn't have a plan B. Like when he emptied his tank trying to knock him out in the first 4 rounds, he had no plan B. It was just, I mean, he flurried, but the punches turned arm punches, and LC's beard is pretty solid, so. I mean, it turned, I mean, although he tried, but LC was just absolutely. I mean, LC was even brought back an uppercut. I mean, I hadn't really seen him use an uppercut in a while, in a fight. So yeah, I mean, pretty much it was. Pretty much it was like the 117, 111 is pretty much what you could say, what you can call this fight. What the judge saw to see this fight as 114, 114, I have no idea. There wasn't any rounds. I mean, there were a couple close rounds, but not a couple. There's not a couple close rounds where you can say, okay, yes, you can feasibly give Mares 6 rounds in a fight. Or yeah, you can see 6 rounds of a fight. That's nonsense. Yeah, I mean, there's always that one card that doesn't make any sense. It's one of the things in boxing I just don't understand. I mean, why someone would actually see 114, 114. I think the scorecard actually had been posted. I haven't like read it in any detail on what rounds that judge, I think it was Max DeLuca, what rounds he actually gave Mares. I mean, because I think pretty much after the 4th round, I don't think Mares probably maybe one round after that, at the most. But it doesn't take it away from LSC. LSC, he was finally given a very stiff test, and he passed with flying colors. So, yeah, I guess now he also holds some sort of featherweight belt. I don't know if it's I mean, what version of the WBA belt featherweight? Because they have champions in there. I mean, I honestly don't. Oh, actually, no. Question: they don't have champions because the title that Walters had, I think he was the actual super champion. He got stripped because he didn't make weight for his last fight. So I don't know what. I actually don't know if I don't know if it's just an interim title or whatever. I honestly don't know. Of course, that belt situation. Of course, I've complained about that plenty of times. But yeah, I mean, like I said, LSC. I mean, I know he has Frampton, he has Gary Russell, because now those two. I mean, Gary Russell, of course, actually holds holds one of the featherweight belts. He holds a WPC belt, and so there's I mean, you can see. I mean, I would welcome that fight too. I mean, he has options now to go after and try to unify, with the other champions. As for Mares, I mean, it's not a huge setback. It's just more or less it was just a plan that went bad, went really bad. Outside of him trading his tank, I mean, he probably, had he actually used more lateral movement, he probably, and was it, if I'm not mistaken, too, he only threw like 7 jabs in the fight. I don't know if that's a CompuBox error, but throwing 7 jabs in a fight, it's not going to win you a fight. Yeah, especially when, in this case, where both fighters, they combined they threw over 2,000 punches. I mean, LSC threw over 1,000. Mares, I think, maybe 20 punches under. But yeah, you're not going to be the volume puncher without a jab. Without throwing a very consistent jab. Because I was always taught, and I've heard it plenty of times, that you can offset speed with a good jab, good solid jab, activity jab. So it's an important punch because the jab makes you reset. It will make your opponent reset. But yeah, like I said, Mares had a good. He wanted to test his chin and he failed. So, and he didn't have a plan B. He didn't. to do anything other than he clinched, and then he flurried. He tried. He tried a lot of things. He tried bullying him, and none of that worked. Um, so I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing a replay of that fight at some point, not an immediate rematch, but at some point later on. Because I think if Mars actually really pumped his jab, he probably would have had better success. I mean, although LC's reach was a lot longer than his. LC, because like I said, Mars, like I said, had Mars work behind the jab, Pacquiao came in, but he wasn't doing it. And so when LC got distance, he pretty much raked him, as most flying punchers do. Um, yeah, I mean, it was a great fight. I mean, it was very entertaining. That's the type of card that that PBC should be, needs. I also found it odd too, because that that Teddy and them could not stop mentioning Pacquiao Mayweather. I mean, that fight is done. I mean, the fight was 3 months ago. Things happen. It is what it is. Keep it moving. You don't have to mention that fight. I sure as hell don't really mention that fight at all because it's not one of my. It's not. I mean, pretty much it was a clear cut fight. I mean, there's nothing really more to say about it. Now, I would expect something from something that was a non-related, non-Hal Al Heyman related event to mention it. I wouldn't expect the PBC card to really harp on Floyd Pacquiao like they did, during those fights. Um, Pretty sure Al probably going to have a little talk about that. So, but yeah, those are my thoughts. Summer's almost over. Haven't done a lot of videos. I've done videos here and there. I mean, just very not. Well, PBC does a lot of videos, but also I've been out just enjoying my summer and whatnot. So I think the next PBC card is next Sunday. Pretty much when I'm coming back from vacation. So hopefully, I actually get fly into Logan in time. Get my car and everything. Be able to get back so I can watch. September is going to be especially a very loaded month. So yeah, definitely more videos on in the near future. So until next time, peace.